This week we had the opportunity, and I was able to watch with a lot of other of you Harvest folk. This week on Wednesday, we watched Jesus Revolution. And so there's the movie poster. Side note, if you haven't watched it, I strongly encourage you to go watch it. And if you have watched it, I encourage you to bring a friend, bring some family, and go watch it again. I think it's a great movie, and it tells this story of Chuck Smith and Greg Laurie, and obviously the Jesus Revolution. But the thing is, that took place right here in our backyards. You know, the Calvary Chapel Church building was started in Santa Ana, where they were baptizing 500 plus people a week was out at Pirates Cove, which is just beyond CDM. After the movie, I was sitting at Spectrum, I was like, wait, how far is Pirates Cove? And I searched it up, 15 minutes. Whoa, that's our backyard. And this movie tells this story, this really great story of this revival that happened right here amongst the hippies in the 60s and the 70s. And these people that were part of this Jesus revolution were just being radically transformed. They were completely transforming and changing their lives to completely just follow Jesus. I mean, this got so big that Time magazine wrote a piece on it. It became the cover article. And they mention it in the movie, and so I went back and I watched it. I looked up the cover, June 21st, 1971. They devoted an 11-page article to this cover story, the Jesus Revolution, and I read it. Right? I read the whole thing, and I said, you know what? I got to know what's going on in the article. I want to see what was going on. I want to read the article, and so I read the whole thing. And in this article, they began to just call these people that were taking part of this Jesus revolution. They didn't just call them these Christians, but they started using these terms: Jesus people, and then the one that goes even further, Jesus freaks. Not to be spiteful or not to be shameful or anything, but the fact of the matter is that the people here involved in this Jesus revolution were so radically transformed and so changed. They were getting saved and they were bleeding Jesus. They were bleeding a love for God. Right? I have an image here next of Kobe Bryant. I know I grew up in a Lakers family, and so every time Christmas, we're watching the Lakers, Labor Day, we're watching the Lakers. Every time we're watching the Lakers. But when you see this image of Kobe Bryant, people will often say, NBA fans will often say, oh, that guy is the greatest Laker of all time. He is the perfect Laker. There's no one greater than him, that he bleeds purple and gold. Right? And that's what these Jesus people, these Jesus freaks, that's what they were doing. They were bleeding their love for Jesus. So I read through this Time magazine article, right? It's written in a secular magazine, written by a non-believing author. And I wanted to see the worldly side to the story. What was going on at that time? I had watched the movie, I had read about the Christian side of the story, I had seen that perspective. I was like, all right, let me see this clash of kingdoms that's going on here. What's the worldly perspective of this story? But what was so obvious, even in that article, was that these Jesus people, these Jesus freaks, they were just bleeding their love for God. Here's a quote from the article. If any one mark clearly identifies them, it is their total belief in an awesome, supernatural Jesus Christ. Not just a marvelous man who lived 2,000 years ago, but a living God who is both Savior and Judge, the ruler of their destinies. Their lives revolve around the necessity for an intense personal relationship with that Jesus, and the belief that such a relationship should condition every human life. That was Time magazine, 1971. Harvest, I want to challenge you a little bit this morning. If a reporter from the OC Register came in and walked through those doors, right, and just sat in the back and said, hey, don't mind me, I'm just going to sit in I'm going to be writing a piece on harvest. I'm going to publish it. What would the author of that article, what would they say? What kind of people would they call Harvest? Would they call us the Jesus people? What would they say that we bleed? Will we bleed the love for Jesus? I mean, what, right here in this quote, it says, if anyone marks. So what's that mark? What would mark harvest? Right? Would it be this total belief in an awesome supernatural Jesus Christ? Would it be that our lives revolve around the necessity for an intense personal relationship with that Jesus? I mean, the OC Register is probably not going to do that, though. So, all right, let's make this, a little bit more personal. Okay. What about your own life? Again, OC Register is probably not going to write an article about your life. But hey, what about your friends? What about your family, your coworkers? What would they say that you bleed?